Hey you guys, happy Friday. I wanted to hop on here today and do my good, bad, and truth about salt because it is the weekend. Most of us will be eating way more salt than we typically do because we're eating out. We might notice that if we hop on the scale on, tomorrow, Saturday or Sunday, or Monday rather, that the number is higher because, of some of the effects of salt on the body. But I hear a lot of misconceptions about salt and whether it's good for us, bad for us. I've had a couple clients say, well, I have high blood pressure, so I have to avoid all salt. And there's some truth to that, absolutely, but there's also some things that we have to understand about the importance of salt in the body. So today I want to kind of clarify the good, the bad, and the truth about salt, or sodium, as many of us know. So like I said, guys, I really try to keep these videos short. I could spend hours talking about sodium, very, very popular topic, but I really want to keep this focused more on like the weight loss journey, number one. And then I will also talk about like blood pressure and the health, impacts of sodium, because I know that is a concern for a lot of people that I've worked with and those of you who are in this group, okay? So let me jump right into the topic. So when it comes to salt, okay, or sodium as you guys know it, or you see it on the nutritional label on foods, what we have to understand about sodium is that it is an important mineral. Salt is an important mineral for us to have in our body. It is really important for cellular function and for fluid balance, okay? Especially if we exercise, right, and we are sweating out, especially working out for like an hour or more. We want to make sure that, we are going to have, we're replenishing the sodium that we lose, right? So that's why some people drink Gatorade. I think Gatorade is not a good beverage. I would not drink Gatorade. There's a lot of not good things in there. But, it is important to make sure that we are replenishing ourselves, right, after we exercise. And, having salt in the diet is really helpful for replenishing after we work out or sweating a lot during the day. So that's one of the important parts about sodium. Also, guys, it being an essential mineral, one of the things we have in salt is iodine, okay? And iodine is imperative for thyroid function, okay? And I speak to a lot of people that have issues with their thyroid, whether they're hypo or hyperactive thyroid, people with Hashimoto's, for example. So iodine is crucial for thyroid function. So that also impacts our metabolism. So we have seen an influx, an increase of thyroid problems in our society in the last 10 years. And it also tends to coincide with the craze and like we gotta cut all salt out of the diet because all salt is bad for us. And that's a problem because in our society, we tend to hear something's bad and we cut it out completely. But once again, guys, things in moderation are always going to be good for us, right? So in most cases. So salt is one of those things. So we cannot cut salt out completely from the diet because of its impact on the body and how we need it for certain functions. Also, guys, something to consider with salt is that it does help curb carb cravings, okay? So for example, people that are on a low carb diet, maybe they're on a ketogenic diet, sometimes they will, add a little bit of salt to their water because that actually helps fight cravings for carbohydrates. Also, people that do intermittent fasting, I talked about intermittent fasting a couple weeks ago, and I talked about keto a few weeks before that. It helps them fight their hunger cravings, right? Having a little bit of salt in the water, whether they're adding a little bit of pink Himalayan salt, sea salt, right? All of those things, some people do that as well. So that's why, salt is a good thing in some cases, right? So there's a little bit about the good. Now, the bad, all right, about salt is that yes, absolutely, guys, excess salt in the diet can increase blood pressure. The truth about that, though, is that 70% of the bad salts, right, that we're talking about is in processed foods. So people that might have elevated blood pressure, for example, if it is a sodium problem, is because they're eating a lot of processed food. We really don't need to worry so much about adding salt to our cooking, right? That's a very nominal problem in comparison to eating lots of foods in packages, right? Because sodium not only, enhances the flavor, there's something called the bliss point in the food industry. The bliss point is the optimal flavor that salt provides in the food, right? There's 4 components of a delicious meal: salt, fat, acid, and heat, right? So That is why sodium is prevalent in all processed foods, and it helps increase shelf life. Restaurants love to throw a bunch of salt onto the food, right? And so that's why you're a little puffy, or feel dehydrated after eating a restaurant meal typically, right? So that's really where we have to be careful, guys, is with restaurant food and with processed foods. Not so much like adding salt to your home cooked meals. That is not going to cause you to have high blood pressure, I promise you. Okay. The other bad thing about salt is that it does cause water retention. Okay. So like I said, if you eat a restaurant meal, the next day you might be a little heavier on the scale. You're going to hold more water. It might cause bloating in your fingers, in your face. And it's going to show temporary weight gain on the scale, right? So if you go on vacation for a few days and you're eating out every meal, come home, you might have gained a few pounds, but you might find that a few days later it's gone because it was all water weight, right? So that's just something to consider there before you freak out and think that the vacation ruined your life. It probably didn't. Also, guys, in terms of kidneys, this is something important to consider. So having a lot of salt in your diet will absolutely impact your kidneys, because your kidneys function is to help detoxify your body, right? And so, especially if you're not drinking enough water and you're consuming a lot of sodium, definitely not good for you or for your kidneys, right? So those of you who have ever had any kidney issues, if you have kidney stones, actually someone that I used to date back in the day, he had polycystic kidney disease, and so he really could not consume salt, or alcohol, because they really dehydrated the body, right? So that is one of the things we have to really be careful of our sodium intake. So for example, the recommended daily limit of sodium is 2,300 milligrams, right? But a lot of doctors will tell you like less than that, like 1,500 milligrams. Or, if you have an issue with kidneys, they might prescribe something less. It really depends on you. But again, that's really to be mindful of processed foods, okay? Like canned foods, frozen meals, anything that is already prepackaged or cooked for you in boxes. You want to be careful of that. Not really home cooked food. It's very different, okay? All right, so I went over the good, the bad, and now I want to get into the truth about salt in the American diet, okay? And especially what you should focus on if high blood pressure is a concern for you, because it is a concern for several clients that I've worked with. Truth is that sodium is ubiquitous in the American diet, especially because we are so dependent on fast foods, convenient foods. Everything uses salt, okay? So that is the problem with eating out so much, is that we are really, being exposed to lots of salt in the body, okay? So that's the truth. It's everywhere. It's very hard to avoid sodium if you're buying food out. So that's why I typically recommend opt for low sodium foods. This way, at least if you're getting food out somewhere, try to go for the lower sodium options, especially like deli meats, for example. Even breads, guys, like they have low sodium breads out there. Like I would definitely go for those if you can find some of those. Soups for sure. Soups are full of sodium. I don't know if you guys ever noticed, but I get really puffy fingers after I have soup at a restaurant or something. So Asian food, I would always go for low sodium soy sauce. Or tamari, whatever you use. Even like liquid aminos, guys, it's, some people think it's a healthier alternative. It is very high in sodium. So, just be mindful of that when you're adding things to your food. Okay. But this is like the truth that I really wanted to highlight for you guys. Okay. Because a lot of people I work with, they're like, oh my God, I'm on blood pressure medication. I got to cut all salt from my diet. And all they do is focus on cutting salt from their diet. And the truth is, guys, that yes, while salt can increase your blood pressure, stress in the body, okay, plays way more of an impact on your blood pressure than salt. Okay. So a lot of people, like, they don't even think about like the stress in their life. Okay. And they don't do anything to manage the stress. And I'm going to talk about a few different types of stress. So stress can be one, like external stress, okay? Like your work, your family, any, obligations, your schedule, traveling, anything like any of those external circumstances, okay? That are affecting you, right? But I've also worked with people that are like, well, I don't really have any stress. Like I'm retired. You know, I wake up at 9 a.m. every day. Like, I don't really do much. Like, I'm not stressed. But there's also internal stress as well that can increase blood pressure levels. For example, okay, eating not healthy foods, okay, causes oxidative stress on your body, okay? Any foods that are inflammatories, okay, those are going to cause stress on your body. If you are not sleeping enough, that will cause stress on your body. If you are doing really, really high intensity exercise classes or workouts all the time, that is going to elevate your cortisol levels, as you guys have heard, I'm sure, but that is stress on the body. Cortisol is a stress hormone. So one of the best things, most important things you guys need to understand about blood pressure is that you have to manage your stress in your life, whether it's internal with your diet, and even your exercise regimen too, but also external, right? And those are all things we have to manage in order to reduce our blood pressure. So if you're hell-bent on reducing your blood pressure, diet is one piece of it, but there are so many other things. Salt is not to blame in many cases for your high blood pressure, guys. I hate to break it to you. And I really wanted to come on here and set the truth straight, okay? Because, you know, high blood pressure is a multifaceted, you know, problem, and salt is a part of it, but it's not the culprit, right? It's a lot of things in the lifestyle, right? And that's why lifestyle changes are everything. Whether your goal is weight loss, whether it's to reduce your blood pressure, whether it's to fight disease, whether it's just for overall better mental health, right? So I want you guys to understand that. Okay, so I hope I shed some light today on salt. If you have any questions, you can comment right here in the group and I will respond. I did not do a live video today, I apologize, but I hope this helped. And the next topic I'm going to do, I had some inspiration from a fellow group member. She asked me about counting macros, and I want to talk to you guys about that. That'll be my next topic, the good, the bad, and the truth about counting macros. And this is about salt. Talk to you all soon. Have a good weekend. If you consume too much salt this weekend, if you're out and about, make sure you're drinking enough water. Dandelion root tea is one of my favorite ways to get excess water out of the body as well. All right. Have a great weekend. Talk to you all soon. Bye.